Hello and welcome back to Heart and Soul's Yoga Life channel. Today I want to have a look at your worst case scenario with you. Every now and then I have a client who comes to me with having to make a major decision and being overwhelmed by fear of making the wrong choice. Like they want to take a really bold step, but the fear is holding them back. And at the same time, they're worried that in 10 years and 20 years' time, if they don't make that bold step, they might come back having regrets and having missed out on a lot of great potential. So there is a big choice in weighing up which way to go. And I trust you have been there as well. So let me share with you a couple of strategies of how to go about looking at making the right decision that serves you at this point in time, because it's not always just about empowering yourself to make a big step and take a big risk. There are times in your life where it can be really the prudent and right choice to play it small and be careful. Like if you are responsible for family or for employees if you have a business. So you want to be able to find a way of mitigating the risks and yet being bold enough to take the steps necessary to get you ahead. The main thing here, though, is that you want to be in the driver's seat of your decisions. So when it comes to decision making, there is no real black and white or right and wrong scenario. Both being prudent and careful can be right at some times, and taking a bigger, bolder step can be right as well. But for example, look at when you're raising a family or when you're in charge of a bunch of employees. You want to be on the safe side. You want to make sure that you don't take big risks and everybody loses their employment or you lose your family house, for example. So don't beat yourself up if you are erring on the careful side. That's a good idea. However, you don't want fear to be in the driver's seat of your decisions. Fear is important because it asks you basically, can I handle the consequences of this action? So allow fear to be a part of the decision. Allow fear to be your checks and balances when it comes to the choices you are making, but don't let it take the driver's seat. Personally, I've always found that looking at my worst case scenario is one of the best things to do in a situation like this. Again, can I handle the consequences of my actions? I used to have this diffuse fear of if I'm making a bolder step, if I'm taking a bigger risk, I might end up like a beggar in the street. And so fear was in my driver's seat. But when I saw that my worst case scenario was something I could handle, I was able to move on. For example, about 8 years ago, when I was part of starting a yoga retreat center, I knew that I had food on my plate and I knew I had a place to stay. So that was my bottom line covered, and I was okay to take the risk of investing a lot of my time, a lot of my energy into a project that might or might not work out. But I was willing to take that step. However, when I looked at that worst case scenario, I also knew that there might arise a situation where I might want to leave if like something in the team didn't work out or so. So I made a commitment to myself to have a separate savings account with $10,000 in it. So that if I ever wanted to leave, there was enough buffer financially for me to be able to have a couple of weeks, a couple of months to sort myself out and get set up again elsewhere. So that was my commitment. By looking at the worst case scenario, I knew, yes, I can handle it. However, this is what I need in order to be safe to proceed. So I set this up, and that allowed me to move ahead boldly and take a risk that luckily then also panned out in a positive way. Now, when it comes to looking at your worst case scenarios, we will never be fully in control of what is going to happen. I think COVID has taught many of us that particular lesson just in those last few months. So we need to also learn in the bigger picture to let go of that illusion of being in control all of the time. We are in control of the choices we make. We are in control of the choices we make. We are definitely in control of the attitude and the energy that we are bringing to the things that we do, but we are not in control of everything that happens thereafter. So give it your everything, make a prudent, well thought through decision, and then leave the rest up to the heavens, because that's all you can do. In the end of the day, I've always found that if I can look in the mirror and be proud of the actions that I've taken, then whether or not something has worked out, whether or not I have succeeded both on a financial or personal level, isn't quite as important. If I know I have acted with integrity, then I can see that no matter what, I have learned something and I have grown as a person, and I have still infused my actions with love, with the wisdom that I have at the time, and with my best effort, then it's not so much a way of looking at a failure, but looking at a life lesson that I have learned, from which I can then grow and move on and make my next best choice. So I trust this has been valuable. Know your worst case scenarios. Really look at it. Once you look at the bottom line of everything, then you know whether or not you can move ahead boldly. So if you enjoyed our session this time, make sure that you follow our channel and hit the bell button if you want to get notifications for our next session. Thank you very much for watching, and see you again soon.